Today we're going to install this Clarke 4.1 gallon gas tank, plastic gas tank on the Yamaha 225 Cero. This is a 2004 model. 4.1 gallons will give us the 200 to 250 mile range that we need out west here to roam the West. Included in the kit is the gas tank, a set of instructions, and brackets. Looks like a bracket for the fuel tank, a petcock adapter, and 2 brackets for the side panel grommets. We're also going to have to move the horn, and that's going to be done with one of these brackets as well. You even get a handy dandy beer cup holder. And as per the instructions, we're going to want to thoroughly clean this tank before we put it into service. We've got to blow some compressed air in here and maybe rinse it out with a little fuel. There may be some plastic shavings still in there from the manufacturing process. Also included is new foam rubber to mount the tank over the backbone of the bike. When you install the Clarke tank, you will no longer be using these air scoops, so to speak, from Yamaha. And I think we'll take this opportunity to get rid of this as well. The charcoal canister in the event of a tip over. So first let's remove the side panels and the seat. Pop the covers off here and back here. So that's the grommet that'll be replaced with the kit. Right there. And right here. Don't lose the little washer. And there. And this grommet will get replaced with the kit. There's the other grommet. That's right. Remove the seat with the little 10mm socket wrench here. And on the other side. Pop the seat off like that. It's got this hook here. It fits underneath there. There's your fuel tank attach bolt right there. I like to put all the hardware back in the spots where they came from for reassembly. Turn the fuel off. Drain the tank. This line here is your breather hose from your cylinder head back to the air box. Now's a good time as any to renew your fuel line, which is not included in the kit. Don't forget to drain your reserve fuel also. Let's see if that works. Yes. Loosen this tank mount bolt with a 10mm socket. Undo the little plastic air fins here. 10mm works. Turn the fuel off and remove the tank. Don't forget your fuel, your canister lines, your charcoal canister lines. Get this guy right here. There you go. There. Be careful setting this fuel tank down. You're not damaging the petcock, because you're going to reuse that. There's what she looks like underneath. Ignition coil, charcoal canister, valve covers for adjusting the... Oh boy, look at that cracked old intake. Yeah, might as well renew that. On these carburetors, this is a piece of plastic, and it sometimes can develop cracks, which result in induction leaks and popping and banging and lean running. And there is a source to replace this without having to replace the entire carburetor. So take a good look at that while you're in here. Here's the horn bracket that we're going to have to remove and replace. We'll lay the horn this way, make room for the tank. Good time to replace this breather hose. Here's your throttle cable, push-pull. There's your idle set screw for your carb. and your choke cable. And it is a vacuum operated carburetor. This is the cam chain tensioner. Here's the rubber grommet tank mounts. Check their overall condition. Good. So the idea behind these charcoal canisters is kind of a primitive piece of smog equipment. If you follow this line from the carb all the way to the carb, it attaches to the float bowl, the bottom of the carb. So the idea is when you tip the bike over, typically fuel is going to leak out of the float bowl as the bike's laying on its side and the fuel's still on. So they want to vent that fuel into this charcoal canister and then theoretically vent it off through the charcoal back into the fuel tank. Or I suppose it just continues to vent out the top of the fuel tank like it always does. And anyways, that's the charcoal fuel canister. And then if this were to fill up, it's got to drain overboard down here. So typically, most dirt bikes, they just take this float bowl drain and run it straight onto the ground. Following the instructions, let's mount some brackets. Looks like this bracket's going to be for the horn. This bracket's going to be for the right side grommet. And this bent bracket's going to be for the left side panel grommet. And that's going to be for the fuel tank back here. Just a little trial fit. Looks like it's going to fit real nice with the seat and the rest of the bike. I elected to go with the natural color so I can always see my fuel state. And the charcoal canister clears the fuel tank plenty, if you elect to keep it. Undo the horn, save the grommet and the washer, install into the new bracket, get the little metal pieces back in the grommet like that, remove the stock bracket with a 10mm socket. I like to add a little Loctite to all these. I'm planning on being back in here again. Install the new bracket and horn. And install the horn. Now we're going to remove this airbox attach bolt and replace it with this new bracket and hardware from Clarke to fit the grommet for the left side panel. Whoops. 10mm socket will do. A little bit of Loctite on the new hardware. The supplied hardware from Clarke's a little too short to make that distance up there, so I just went back with the stock bolt. We'll leave this a little bit short for now until we fit and finish everything and get that side plate on exactly where we want it, and then we'll bring that one home. Here on the right hand side, we're going to put this bracket right there. Like that. Again, leave it loose until we put the final fit and finish on that cover plate. Now we'll cut a length of the foam padding supplied with the kit to cover this section of backbone frame. And we'll zip tie that onto position right there. Okay, this is how this piece of the puzzle goes back together. You grab this stock tank mount piece, mount it right there with the rubber doofer on top. And this, of course, is going to be bolted to the fuel tank. With the provided hardware, we're going to sink that into these brass nut plates embedded in the tank. And this will come and go with the fuel tank. And then on top, we'll go this piece. And then secure it all back in place with the stock hardware. So let's tighten that up. So right under here will still be the lip where your seat's going to attach to. And this big old bolt here is your top bolt for your rear shock. And gently bring these home. Bring that home. And there you have it. Nice fit. Nice solid fit. And these big tanks make pretty good engine guards too, you might say. All right, let's get the petcock and fuel and get this thing going. Looks like these little air scoops just slide right off the tank here. Just slide them right forward and get them off of there. Hang on to your stock fuel tank. You could probably sell it on eBay if it's in good shape like this one. A lot of these guys, these bikes sit around, the tanks rust up. If you got a good clean tank, probably get some money out of that. Let's get the petcock off of this tank, removing these two screws right here. Here's your stock petcock. You can see your standard fuel standpipe. And this difference is your reserve fuel. There's your reserve fuel standpipe. Check the conditions of the O-rings in there and get these filters cleaned up. I believe if you have to, you can rebuild these fuel petcocks with a couple O-rings inside there. After cleaning the petcock, we're going to reinstall it in the new tank using the supplied hardware and this foam rubber piece. The new hardware is going to give it the correct length for the Clarke tank. Add a little of your favorite thread locker. Oriented the correct direction and install the hardware. Skip the lock washers on this installation here. You want that squeezing up tight against that soft washer and the foam. Cinch these two screws down real tight. Test it with fuel in the off position. Slosh a little fuel into your new tank. Get rid of that old awful gas. And we'll test for leaks down there at the petcock. Get any of the old plastic shavings out. Dump it. Don't reuse this crummy old gas. Slide your new tank on like so. Mount to fit. Tighten her up. So a couple other projects we're going to do on this bike is we're going to go completely through the carburetor and we're going to redo the clutch. So those are coming up next. We got the kits for that. We got the parts and the kits for that from Cycle Pro up in Hillsboro, Oregon. Real easy vendor to get these parts from. Go online, check out Cycle Pro. He sells the parts by bike. We'll adjust this fuel line. Reinstall it. Slide the seat back on, see that it fits. It's a little bit tight. Reinstall the seat and it fits perfect. Now for the side panels. Take a little time fiddling with the brackets and you're done. Put on some kind of a vent system of your choice. A lot of those are the short little one-way valves, but those tend to put fuel fumes right up your nose. I still like the older hose that curves up and down away from the rider. Fill her up with gas. Go 200 miles, 250 miles. The Clarke 4.1 gallon tank on the 2004 Yamaha XT225. More to come. Stay tuned.